Welcome to the Explainer. If you're the kind of person who just absolutely loves figuring out how the human mind ticks, well, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're taking a really deep dive into something that's just universally human. It's incredibly suspenseful, and honestly, it's something pretty much all of us have lived through in the dark at some point. We're going to unpack the psychological mystery of nighttime noises. And trust me on this, the actual science behind it is way more fascinating than any ghost story. All right, let's just dive right in by putting you smack in the middle of a really specific and highly relatable sensory experience. Picture this. It's 2:13 in the morning. You're completely alone in your house. Everything is dead quiet until you hear it. Heavy, slow footsteps coming from somewhere upstairs. You completely freeze. Your heart instantly starts racing, and every single instinct in your body is screaming that someone or something is inside the house with you. But then, you finally gather the courage to flick on the lights and check, and there is absolutely nothing there. No intruder, just complete silence. So this brings us to a massive question. Why did your brain invent an intruder? It's a pretty profound concept when you think about it. Why would your own mind just completely fabricate a terrifying scenario out of thin air? I want to reframe this whole phenomenon for you. This isn't some supernatural event, and it definitely doesn't mean you're losing your mind. It's actually this incredible psychological look into your own brain's ancient survival mechanisms. We're basically going to open up the hidden software that's running in the background of your mind every single night. So let's look at Section 1, the evolutionary route. Survival over accuracy. To really get what's happening to you at 2:13 a.m., we have to transport ourselves like 100,000 years into the past. Imagine a world with zero locks on the doors, no electric lights, just absolute darkness. For our ancestors, the evolutionary math was brutally simple. If they mistook the wind for a lion, well, it was just a false alarm. They got a quick spike of adrenaline, they survived, and they lived to see another day. But if they assumed an approaching lion was just the wind, that's a missed threat and ultimately death. Your brain was fundamentally built to prioritize survival over accuracy. Evolution aggressively favored people whose brains always assumed the worst. It rewarded harmless false alarms and heavily penalized ignored threats. Basically, we are all just the descendants of the successfully paranoid. Which leads us to Section 2. The suspects, the psychological mechanisms. Meet our first suspect, the hyperactive agency detection system, or HADES. I absolutely love this concept. This is your brain's ancient survival software that is specifically designed to detect living beings or intent, even when the room is completely empty. It's the reason why, when you hear a leaf rustling in the dark, your brain doesn't just calmly go, "Ah, yes, a botanical event." No, it instantly asks a highly charged question. Was that the wind, or is a dangerous predator waiting in the dark to strike? Your brain is just desperately searching for an agent behind the action. And then we have our second psychological suspect, pareidolia. This is the brain's incredible ability to create meaningful patterns from totally incomplete or random information. Here's the thing you have to understand about the human brain. It absolutely abhors uncertainty. Silence and missing data are super uncomfortable for it. So, when information is missing, your brain just steps in and fills the blanks. It uses pareidolia to connect tiny, totally unrelated house noises into this terrifying, cohesive, linear story of footsteps walking across your floor. Now, the really crucial point here is that pareidolia isn't just visual. Like, we've all looked up at the sky and seen a distinct face in a fluffy cloud, right? That's your brain forcing a familiar pattern onto a random shape. But it's auditory, too. It's hearing distinct words, voices, or footsteps in random static or structural creaks. When your visibility drops to near zero at night, your brain aggressively leans into this. It turns the completely unknown into something familiar, even if that familiar thing is totally 100% wrong. Okay, Section 3, the environmental triggers, the scene of the crime. So we know the psychology behind it, but why does this almost exclusively happen at night? I mean, you rarely hear phantom footsteps at noon, right? It's because nighttime provides the perfect storm. Darkness takes away your vision and actually heightens your hearing to compensate. making all the physical realities of your house impossible to ignore. At the exact same time, your brain is releasing hormones preparing you for sleep, so fatigue is actively reducing your ability to logically evaluate sounds. And your house is constantly talking. As the temperature drops, wood expands, metal contracts, pipes vibrate, the whole roof shifts. Even your furniture is making tiny little adjustments. Because of how acoustics work in enclosed spaces, those natural sounds travel through floors and walls in incredibly deceptive ways. So your brain just misinterprets a totally innocent structural pop from a downstairs floorboard as a heavy, deliberate footstep right above your head. And this auditory illusion works right alongside visual illusions, which we call the shadow effect. Just as your ears are searching for footsteps, your eyes are actively searching for threats. Have you ever glanced down a dark hallway and felt your heart totally stop because someone was standing there, only to realize a split second later it was literally just a coat hanging on a chair? Just like horror movies build terror through unseen whispers and obscured shadows, which forces your imagination to do all the heavy lifting, your brain's predictions in the dark become vastly stronger than reality itself. Moving right along to section 4, the escalation, the fear loop. Now, what's really wild is the biological cascade that happens the very second you get frightened by one of these illusions. Let's walk through this rapid escalation. First, your heartbeat increases and your breathing quickens to oxygenate your muscles. Boom, adrenaline floods your body, getting you ready to fight or flee. Right after that, your hearing sharpens dramatically. And finally, confirmation bias kicks in. And here is the grand irony of this whole biological cascade. The harder you listen in fear, the more completely ordinary sounds you start noticing. By actively straining your ears to hear this quote-unquote intruder, you start picking up the hum of the fridge, the rustling of a curtain, the ticking of a clock, and your brain logs every single one of them as a mortal threat. Which brings us to a really chilling realization. The thought, I'm not alone. This is how confirmation bias acts as the final, inescapable trap in that fear loop. Because you're terrified, your brain literally forces you to collect evidence to support this terrifying belief. Every new creak just confirms the fear. It creates this ironclad reality in your mind that you are in grave danger, despite there being literally zero actual threat in the physical world. So how do we fix this? Section 5, the resolution, taking back control. Understanding the science is great, but how do you actually short-circuit this 100,000-year-old software the next time you're lying awake at 2 a.m.? The key is interrupting the automatic response. The next time you hear a mysterious noise, just force yourself to pause and ask some logical questions. Like, could this simply be the house settling as the temperature drops? Could the sound have echoed through the air ducts? Am I just incredibly tired and it's skewing my perception? Or, hey, am I expecting something frightening because I literally just watched a scary movie? Simply pausing to run through this mental checklist forces your brain to shift away from the primitive emotional amygdala and hands control right back to your logical, conscious prefrontal cortex. You are literally rebooting your brain's processing center. And that leads us to the absolute core takeaway of this entire explainer. Your brain isn't trying to scare you, it's genuinely trying to protect you. Those phantom footsteps aren't a sign that your home is haunted, and they definitely aren't a sign that you're losing your grip on reality. This ancient instinct just makes empty houses feel a little less empty. Ultimately, it is a brilliant sign that your brain's survival hardware is working absolutely perfectly, just exactly as it was designed to tens of thousands of years ago. So I want to leave you with this final kind of provocative question to ponder tonight. Who is really listening? Because as we've learned today, the biggest mystery isn't the empty house itself, and it's certainly not the structural creaks in the floorboards. The true mystery is the remarkably complex, ancient, and highly imaginative mind listening right inside it. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden psychology behind this everyday mystery, keep seeking out the science in your daily life. It honestly completely changes the way you experience the world. Until next time, stay curious, focused learners.